I've spent over 20 years listening to people, unraveling their stories and helping them make sense of the chaos in their lives. Some stories linger in my mind longer than others. This one, the story of David and his 3 children, is one of those. David came to my office on a grey autumn afternoon. He looked tired in a way that doesn't come from lack of sleep or long hours at work, but from something heavier, the weight of a secret, or perhaps the weight of a truth he didn't know he could face. He held a small white envelope in his hands, trembling ever so slightly. "I got the results," he said quietly. "I thought I was ready. I wasn't." Inside were 3 DNA test results, one for each of his children, Ethan, Sophie, and Liam. And what they revealed would shake the very foundation of the family he had spent decades building. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon when a knock at the door disrupted the usual calm of the household. David opened it to find a woman in her late 60s, her eyes sharp but her smile gentle. "Hello," she said. "I'm Margaret. I believe I am Sophie's grandmother, and I need to speak with you about something important." David stared, confused. "My son, he passed away in a car accident years ago," Margaret continued, her voice soft but firm. "Sophie is his only living child. I want to make sure she receives what is rightfully hers. My house, my savings, everything I can leave behind." David's mind raced. He had always seen Sophie as his daughter, but now a stranger insisted otherwise. That evening, David sat at the kitchen table, the words of Margaret echoing in his mind. Could it be true? Was Sophie not his biological daughter? And what about Liam? He made a difficult decision. He would conduct DNA tests for all 3 children, Ethan, Sophie, and Liam. It was the only way to face the truth without ambiguity. He collected the samples quietly, making sure the children didn't suspect anything. His hands trembled as he sealed the envelopes and mailed them. The results arrived on a chilly Thursday morning. David opened Ethan's first. Relief washed over him. Ethan was indeed his biological son. Next came Sophie's. His heart sank. She was not his biological child. Finally, Liam's results arrived. Once again, no match. David sank into his chair. Memories of bedtime stories, scraped knees, birthday parties, and family vacations flooded his mind. He had loved these children for years. How could a test rewrite what he had lived, what he had felt, what he had given? That night, David waited until the children were asleep. "Lisa, I need to know everything," he said quietly. Lisa nodded, tears brimming. "I was afraid, David, afraid that knowing the truth would break you, break the family. Sophie's biological father died in that car accident. Liam's father, he is someone I was involved with later. I never stopped loving you. I never stopped loving you. I never stopped loving the children. I hid the truth because I wanted to protect everyone." David felt a storm of emotions, anger, sadness, confusion, but also clarity. He remembered every scraped knee he had bandaged, every recital he had attended, every story he had read to them at night. Love, he realized, was more than DNA. The next few days were a whirlwind for David. He felt a mixture of grief, disbelief, and guilt. He had raised Sophie and Liam as his own children, and the revelation of their biological origins made him question every memory, every decision, every moment of affection he had shared. Yet, amid the chaos of emotions, David found himself thinking about the small moments, the bedtime stories, the scraped knees he had kissed, the whispered, "I love you, Dad," in the quiet of night. Those moments weren't defined by biology. They were real. Sitting alone in his study, David whispered to himself, "I may not be their biological father, but I've always been their father in every way that matters." Sophie, oblivious to the DNA tests at first, was still processing the sudden appearance of Margaret, her grandmother. That night she lay in bed, thoughts swirling. Grandmother? I have a grandmother, and my father. He isn't my real dad, but he's always been there for me. He's read me stories, cheered at my piano recitals, dried my tears. Does it really matter who shares my DNA? The confusion tugged at her identity. She felt love and loyalty toward David, yet a part of her was drawn to the grandmother she had never met. she realized that life was never as simple as she had imagined. Liam, younger and more naive, had a different way of processing the change. He noticed David's quiet mood, sensed tension in the household, and asked, "Dad, are we still a family?" David knelt beside him, holding him close. "Of course, Liam. I am your dad, and nothing will ever change that. Blood doesn't define family. Love does." Liam smiled, his trust unwavering. In his small world, a father's love was enough. The following week, David decided to speak openly with each child. With Ethan, it was simple. Ethan, the oldest and his biological son, had already suspected something, though he hadn't realized the full scope. "You're my son, Ethan. Nothing changes that," David said. Ethan nodded, a mix of relief and gratitude in his eyes. "I know, Dad. You've always been there for me, and that's what matters." With Sophie, it was more complex. The discussion was slow, emotional, and layered with years of shared love. "Dad, why didn't you tell me?" she whispered, tears in her eyes. "I never stopped loving you, Sophie. I've been your father in every way that counts." "That will never change," David reassured her. They spent weeks reconnecting. Through quiet walks, piano sessions, and late-night talks, Sophie gradually came to understand that family was more about shared life than DNA. With Liam, the conversation was simple but profound. "You're my dad," he said, almost shyly. "Even if you're not." David hugged him tightly. "Even if you are my son in every meaningful way, nothing can take that away." Meanwhile, Margaret worked with Sophie to formalize the inheritance. She shared stories of her late son, Sophie's biological father, and explained why she wanted Sophie to have a home and savings. Sophie, though initially overwhelmed, appreciated the connection to her biological father and grandmother. She realized she had two worlds, one built by birthright, the other built by love and shared life. David supported her every step of the way. Proud of the young woman she was becoming, David began attending therapy regularly, seeking guidance in reconciling the multiple layers of his fatherhood. "I feel like I've lost something and yet I haven't," he said during a session. "I've raised these children, loved them, been there for them, but I also feel like I need to redefine myself." We explored attachment theory, the nature of parenthood, and the difference between biological ties and emotional bonds. David realized that fatherhood was not a label assigned by DNA, but by consistent love, presence, and dedication. He reflected, parenthood isn't about who is in your genes. It's about who shows up, who supports, and who loves every day. In the years that followed, David remained a constant presence in the lives of all three children. He helped Sophie renovate her grandmother's house, guided Liam through school and sports, and celebrated milestones with Ethan. Lisa and David maintained a peaceful, respectful co-parenting relationship. Though their romantic relationship had ended, mutual respect and shared love for their children created a stable family environment. Sophie's relationship with her grandmother deepened, and she felt connected to both her biological heritage and the family she had always known. David's story highlights several psychological truths. Attachment over biology, emotional bonds often outweigh genetic connections in defining family. Resilience, families can adapt and survive shocking revelations when love and communication are prioritized. Forgiveness and choice, choosing to remain present and committed despite past secrets reflects emotional maturity. Identity reconstruction. Both David and his children had to integrate new truths to maintain a cohesive sense of self and family. Secrets kept to protect love can sometimes fracture it. Yet facing the truth with courage allows relationships to rebuild stronger than before. David's story teaches us that parenthood is not determined by chromosomes, but by commitment, presence, and unconditional love. True family is the one we nurture, support, and choose to love, regardless of DNA. Even when the world around us changes, love remains the most profound connection we can share.